it could always get worse, but it could also get better. I learned some tough news today from someone who I love, who's going through something health-wise. It definitely brought back some memories. I don't feel traumatized by what happened to me when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I feel like it's not a trauma in the sense that I've worked through it. And it doesn't like terrify me when I think back on it. It feels like it was tough, but it's something that I've accepted and worked through. So it does not feel like that. Like people might think hearing other news or someone going through a similar process or a similar type of diagnosis I might feel that way. It does not. That being said, it reminded me of something I suffered from a bit. Not from everyone, but when I was diagnosed, I think some people very well intended, like with good intentions, they were well intended. They would tell me things like, you have to stay optimistic, look at the bright side in life. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, I mean, to me, this is absolute gaslighting. I don't know if that's the correct word or expression here, but that's how it feels. It just feels like you're not entitled to your feelings. And if you ask everyone who knows me, I am one of the most optimistic person you will ever meet. Like, I always see the glass half full, but I think being optimistic does not mean that I don't have emotions and that I don't allow others to have emotions. And when you go through a medical diagnosis, when you don't know what's going to happen to you, or even once you get that diagnosis, in my case multiple sclerosis, you're devastated. I mean, there are no other words for that. Like, you are initially very relieved that it's not cancer, that you don't have a stroke, like, but after that you're like, you hear so many things about multiple sclerosis. You're like, what is my life going to look like? What is my quality of life going to look like? And that goes for any diagnosis you have. Like, it's daunting initially, and it's scary, and it's absolutely the most fucked up things when people are like, it could be worse. Like, it's fine if I say it could be worse because that's my own process. I'm gonna go through the waves, and sometimes I'm gonna say it could be worse, and I'm gonna be like, is there any worse than this? But having other people project this onto you and be like, it could be worse, like, it's gonna be fine, is the worst thing. This is toxic positivity at its height. Is just it's like your feelings should not exist because there are worse things in lives, or it could be worse, and so you are not allowed to go through your process. And that's just not true. That's just not okay. Like, you have those stages when grief happens. It's the same when you get a diagnosis. You're grieving your past life, you're grieving what could have been, and in this moment, at least what you think you won't be able to have. Like, you're just going through all those emotions, the doubts, the fear, the anger, the anxiety, the despair. Like, it's just, and it's not linear. It's not just you go through them one by one. It's something you go through over and over and over again, and it's just really scary. And I think people truly forget that. And so I think if you are going through something, or if someone is going through something, it's okay to just disengage. If you don't want to have those conversations, it's also okay to put boundaries up and say, like, I understand you're well intended. You don't even have to say it if you don't want to, but this is not helping right now. I think going through a diagnosis really forced me to say and ask what I needed, because we all need different things. But also, as someone who I love very much is going through something similar, I'm just trying to be there for that person the best way I can, and I'm trying not to assume, and I'm trying not to push onto her how I would do things and what things should look like. But I'm also very conscious that I won't be perfect, and it's better to show up than not show up at all because you're scared of not being perfect. But I think just being here for people, and if they tell you this is awful, like mirroring that, showing that you care by listening, by being there, and by being attentive to whatever they want. And sometimes they might tell you, I don't know what I want. And so trying baby steps to just make them happy, I think is really important. So I don't know, just going through that really reminded me that something that I find so hard is toxic positivity. And I've been accused sometimes of that on social media, because on social media, especially on YouTube, it's fine, you can say more what you think, go more in depth in conversations. But on Instagram, for instance, on TikTok, like, you're only gonna do very small, like, you're gonna do 8-second content or 30-second content, and you never will be able to talk through your entire process. Even on YouTube, sometimes you won't be. And so people might mistake you wanting in that moment to give people optimism for toxic positivity. But to be honest, like, for me, toxic positivity is when you think you should be happy all of the time, there are no other emotions and they should not be there, and when you push that onto people. Because it's one thing to do that yourself, it's another to push it onto people. And when I burnt out when I was 23 years old, I discovered personal development, self-development after that. And I did what I think a lot of people who get into self-development, I'm 34 years old now, so it was a while ago, what they do and what I did is you go into the opposite direction. Like, I'm a big believer of everything in balance and in equilibrium, and positivity is great, but it can't be the only thing. And I did that. I went all the way into toxic positivity. Like, I'm happy, I have to be happy, because I think it's just, I misunderstood what self-development, personal development was, and so I went in that direction. And then after I had some other issues a year and a half after with my mental health, that's when I really realized this wasn't actually viable. And I've realized that acceptance, surrendering, making rooms for my emotions, making room for your emotions is really what makes your life easier. I think now a lot of the work I've done with myself and with people in the past is really teaching them how to get in touch with their emotions, like how to recognize and name emotions, even sometimes using, I don't know if you've ever seen those, but those like circles that we give kids sometimes with all the emotions so they learn to name them. Because I think instead of bottling it up when you're feeling an emotion, whether it's frustration, anger, disgust, anxiety, just being able to recognize how your body is feeling and what those signs mean for you, and naming it is just so helpful. And then leaving room, whether it's journaling, talking with someone, to express those emotions, to express what you're feeling. Like, you're not a bad person because you're angry towards someone who's pushing you to be super optimistic. You're not. It's just you, and it's okay to be you. So I think if you is this person who has been into positivity a bit tad too much, or who tends to be super positive when someone's telling you about their hard emotions, try to take a step back. Try to figure out why you are going into that positivity. Is it because you don't have the space, and then it's also okay to say, I don't have the space to be here right now? Or is it because that's just your mechanism, because you don't want to face your emotions, you don't want to face other people's emotions? But to be honest, like, pushing them back and telling people to just be optimistic and push them back is not gonna make them go away. What's gonna go away, make them go away, is face them, is be there for people, is allowing the space, giving them space, and giving yourself space to feel, to really receive and hear. And yeah, so don't be that person who, when someone tells you about something terrible that has happened to them or that they're scared, jumps right away into positivity. Don't be that person. It doesn't mean you're a downer. You can be the most optimistic person and still understand that optimism and joy and positivity comes with making room for anger, sadness, anxiety, frustration, disgust, all of those emotions. Frustration, such a big one for me. So yeah, don't be that person. And if you are going through something like that yourself, any type of diagnosis or very hard and terrible news, or if you know someone who is, I'm sending you a lot of love. I hope you do something to take care of yourself today, and I hope this was useful. And here is my view to give you some more love and good energy, even when it's hard. Softness, I would say, sending you some softness, and I wish you the best. And I hope I see you here tomorrow. Bye.